Up to number 26 on my fancy playlist, July 30th, 1989. Welcome aboard, Mr. DJ. We're going to cut one video tonight on this fancy countdown. Oh boy, it's a hell of a fantasy. There's not any radio station like this. Never was, never will be. Dadgummit, all make believe. But on this fancy playlist, and it was on a lot of real playlists too. Don Henley with The End of Innocence at number 26, up 6 from 32. His fifth top 10 single as a solo artist. Don Henley, formerly of the Eagles, the album of the same name, End of Innocence, a Bruce Hornsby sounding record. Indeed, it was co-written and co-produced by Bruce Hornsby. Bruce Hornsby and Don Henley teaming up together on this mainstream piano-driven record. And the song sounds a little bit like some of Bruce Hornsby's hits. Every Little Kiss, well, a little bit slower than Every Little Kiss. And also Valley Road. Valley Road was a lovely record. Came out in 1988. But I always go back to, you probably remember The Way It Is by Bruce Hornsby. God, that's one of the most compelling records. Back in the fall of 86, that melancholy piano, strident piano, back, yeah, well, remember 1986. How about that? But we're in 1989. The End of Innocence, the name of the album. About 3 or 4 singles off the album. There was the Last Worthless Evening, and The End of Innocence, and The Heart of the Matter. Did I say The End of Innocence? Yeah, I did. End of Innocence. Already backtracking myself. And New York Minute. Love New York Minute by Don Henley. Didn't do too well for him, though. Probably not commercial enough really to be a top 40 single per se. More of an adult contemporary record. But guess who played on that song? New York Minute. Session extraordinaire. Jeff Porcaro of Toto, member of Toto, played on that record. As a matter of fact, well, not surprisingly, I mean, we're talking a major caliber figure, musical figure, Don Henley, arranged a constellation of talent on this album. Axl Rose lended his vocals on one cut of this album. Melissa Etheridge and Edie Brickell sang back up on Gimme What You Got. Sheryl Crow sang back up on a cut on that album too. And although that was before Sheryl Crow got big, though, she really started getting big in 1994, but that's beside the point right now. And I believe it. No, Sheryl Crow, Gloria Estefan, and J.D. Souther sang back up on "If Dirt Were Dollars" off this album. You might remember J.D. Souther. He did "You're Only Lonely" back in 1979. Danny Korchmeyer. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. I've listened to pronunciation on a website. I'll stick with Korchmeyer right now. The guy he played on at least 4 or 5 cuts. He's played on loads of sessions. On this record, on this album, he's played guitar, bass guitar, drums, keyboards, guitar solos. I mean, the guy was just well, to use a cliche, because that's the only thing I can come up with right now, a multi-talented musician. Korchmeyer goes back to the late 60s. He played on Sweet Baby James by James Taylor. He played on that album. He played on Tapestry by Carole King. Actually, I read up a little bit on the group The Flying Machine. Not the Flying Machine that did Smile a Little Smile for Me. Not the studio band from England that had that hit in '69. There was another Flying Machine. I believe it was based out of New York. James Taylor was in that band. Now, that was before he got big. And Danny Korchmeyer was in that band as well. Boy, I tell you what. Yeah. It sold about 6 million copies, this album. Don Henley had himself a prolific solo career back in the 80s. Didn't start out very promising, though. I don't know if anybody remembers his first single, solo artist, when he winged solo, Johnny Can't Read. Does anybody remember that? Late summer, early fall, 1982. I remember there was a big deal about this. There was a media splash about this. I remember seeing Don Henley's photo, a big photo of that of him and Johnny Can't Read, written out in the bottom in Billboard. I believe it was Billboard. Might have been Radio and Records. No, it was Billboard. But it peaked at number 42. Then came Dirty Laundry. And Don Henley didn't look back. Although it was The Boys of Summer in early 1985 that shot that rocketed Don Henley up into the stratosphere of solo superstardom right there. And all she wants to do is dance, and then Sunset Grill. God, that luminous keyboards, the synthesizer, the wailing, exotic sounding synthesizer. It was almost transcendent listening to that record, Sunset Grill. One of my favorite records by Don Henley. Not one of his biggest hits, though, made top 30. That was in 1985. So now we're on this fancy playlist, July 30th, 1989, at 26. Don Henley of the Eagles with The End of Innocence. Don Henley and Bruce Hornsby.